In life, we often encounter individuals whose actions and words don't align with their true intentions. Sometimes the people closest to us reveal their true colors, leaving us questioning their sincerity. But what if you could spot these signs early and navigate such relationships with clarity and composure? That's where Stoicism comes in. This ancient philosophy doesn't just teach us how to face challenges with resilience. It empowers us to discern who truly adds value to our lives and who is merely taking without giving. Whether it's backstabbing, manipulation, or hidden motives, Stoic teachings help us stay grounded and unaffected by insincerity. By understanding these signs, we become more mindful, not just of the people around us, but of how we respond to them. So if you've ever wondered if someone in your life is playing games, this video will give you the tools to see things clearly. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who could benefit from a more stoic approach to navigating relationships. Let's dive into how we can spot these fake behaviors and rise above them with strength and wisdom. Sign number 1, they never reach out to you first. A true friendship is built on mutual effort and sincerity. However, a fake friend only shows up when they need something or when you initiate contact. This kind of one-sided relationship can leave you feeling exhausted, as if you are the only one making an effort to sustain the connection. Genuine friendships thrive when both parties invest time and energy into the bond. But when you are always the one reaching out while the other person remains passive, it raises a crucial question. Are they truly your friend, or do they see you as merely an option? Rather than immediately severing ties with such individuals, a Stoic approach encourages us to observe human nature and manage our expectations. When someone never takes the initiative to reach out, it suggests that they may view you as a secondary connection, someone to engage with only when convenient. This lack of effort indicates either a lack of genuine commitment or a purely transactional relationship. Consider the story of Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison. Tesla once admired Edison and worked under him, believing they shared mutual respect. Tesla tirelessly contributed to Edison's work, only to be promised financial rewards that never materialized. When Tesla confronted Edison about the promised compensation, Edison dismissed him with laughter, saying, "You don't understand our American humor." Tesla realized then that his loyalty and trust had been misplaced. Feeling undervalued and betrayed, he eventually parted ways and pursued his own path. This real-life scenario highlights a fundamental truth. When someone does not genuinely appreciate or prioritize your presence, their actions, or lack thereof, will reveal it over time. Imagine having a friend whom you regularly text, invite for outings, and check in on. However, when you get busy and stop initiating contact, they disappear. No calls, no messages, no effort to check on you. At first, this can be painful, making you feel unimportant, but a Stoic mindset teaches us to see such situations as lessons rather than personal failures. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The disappearance of such a friend is an event beyond your control, but your response to it is entirely within your power. Instead of feeling hurt or betrayed, take this as an opportunity to reassess the relationship. Ask yourself, if I stopped reaching out, would this person even notice? If the answer is no, then perhaps their role in your life is not as significant as you once believed. Their lack of initiative often extends beyond just communication. You might find yourself excluded from gatherings, parties, and important events, only discovering them later through social media or word of mouth. This exclusion is not just an oversight, but a clear indication of your place in their life. When someone values your friendship, they naturally include you in meaningful moments. If that's not happening, then it might be time to accept reality and adjust your expectations accordingly. A Stoic perspective reminds us that expectations are often the root of disappointment. If you expect others to reciprocate your efforts in the way you desire, you set yourself up for unnecessary suffering. Instead, approach relationships with a sense of clarity and emotional independence. A true friend will always reciprocate your energy, even in small ways. When you realize that a friend does not put in the same effort, resist the temptation to react with resentment or sadness. Instead, focus on strengthening your inner peace. The ultimate goal is to cultivate relationships that bring mutual fulfillment rather than emotional strain. So the next time you find yourself constantly initiating conversations and making plans while the other person remains indifferent, take a step back. Give them space and observe what happens. If they genuinely value you, they will notice your absence and reach out. If they don't, then you have your answer, without needing confrontation or conflict. Ultimately, the true test of any relationship is not how much effort you put into it, but whether that effort is reciprocated. Those who truly care will always find a way to be present, no matter how busy life gets. A Stoic does not seek validation from others, but instead finds strength in self-awareness and emotional resilience. Learning to let go of relationships that do not serve you is not a loss. It is a form of wisdom and liberation. Sign number 2, they're never there when you need them. A true friend stands by your side, shares your burdens, and offers unwavering support when life becomes difficult. In contrast, a false friend only appears when they have something to gain. They may seem affectionate and involved, making you believe you matter to them, but when you truly need them, when hardship strikes, they disappear without a trace, leaving you to face challenges alone. Have you ever noticed that when you're struggling, they always have an excuse for being unavailable? This is because, in their eyes, your relationship is only valuable as long as they are benefiting from it. The moment you become vulnerable or require genuine support, they lose interest. These so-called friends only show up when it suits them, but as soon as their needs are met, they quickly vanish. If you reflect on your past experiences, you may realize that they were never truly there when you needed them most. Picture yourself going through a difficult period at work, overwhelmed by expectations and exhausted from the pressure. In search of comfort, you reach out to someone you've always been there for, hoping for a listening ear or a few words of encouragement. But instead of support, they ignore your calls or offer vague excuses, promising to call back but never following through. That's when it dawns on you. This friendship only thrives when you are the giver, and they only appear when they stand to gain something from you. At times, you may find yourself in need of temporary financial assistance. A small loan that you assume would be easily granted by someone who once swore they'd always be there for you. You have helped them before, whether with money, advice, or emotional support. Yet when you reach out, all you get are polite but empty refusals. They claim to be struggling financially or facing their own difficulties. Yet you see them indulging in luxuries without a second thought. You begin to understand that your kindness was never truly appreciated. It was merely taken for granted. This realization forces you to accept that the relationship has always been one-sided. Often, these fair-weather friends justify their absence with elaborate excuses. They say they are too busy, dealing with personal issues, or preoccupied with urgent matters. But in reality, these are just convenient ways to avoid responsibility. A real friend does not fabricate lies to escape you when you're going through a tough time. Instead, they make an effort to show up even when they have their own struggles. At some point, you must ask yourself, does this friendship bring me value, or is it merely a temporary arrangement based on convenience? A genuine friend will be present even when there's nothing for them to gain. They listen without expecting anything in return. In contrast, a false friend will always take but never give. Have you ever felt abandoned after dedicating your time, energy, and resources to someone who later vanished the moment you needed their support? If so, you are not alone. Many people have experienced the disappointment of investing in friendships that turned out to be transactional rather than meaningful. Sharing your story can be liberating, helping you release the burden of misplaced expectations. One famous example of betrayal in friendship is that of Julius Caesar and Brutus. Caesar trusted Brutus as a close friend and ally, believing in his loyalty. However, when the opportunity arose, Brutus joined the conspirators who plotted against him, ultimately betraying him in the most shocking way. Caesar's last words, "Et tu, Brute?" And you, Brutus? Reflect the deep pain of realizing that a trusted friend had turned against him. This historical event serves as a powerful reminder that not everyone who stands beside you has your best interests at heart. These types of people do not build relationships based on love or loyalty. They operate on self-interest. They come not to share, but to take. Once you recognize this, you will no longer feel hurt when they walk away. This realization does not harden your heart. Rather, it brings a sense of peace, shielding you from unnecessary pain and disappointment. Stoic philosophy teaches us not to place our happiness in the hands of others, especially those whose sincerity is beyond our control. A true friend will not abandon you when you are in need, and Stoicism encourages self-reliance rather than dependence on people who are unreliable. Being mindful and selective about the company you keep can protect you from emotional distress. In the end, real friendships are not built on convenience or personal gain, but on trust, loyalty, and genuine care. The strongest friendships endure not because of benefits, but because of a shared connection founded on mutual love and respect. Sign number 3, they only focus on themselves. One of the clearest signs of a superficial relationship is the lack of balanced communication. If you notice that someone is consistently absent when you need support, yet dominates conversations when they need attention, it is a red flag. A sincere person engages in meaningful exchanges, actively listening and sharing, whereas insincere individuals see conversations as a stage for self-promotion. Have you ever been in a discussion where the other person endlessly talks about themselves, showing little interest in your thoughts or experiences? They frequently interrupt, dismiss your input, or shift the focus back to their own stories, leaving you feeling like an unwilling audience to their monologue. Such behavior reveals a one-sided interest. They engage not to connect, but to be heard. Ask yourself, are they truly interested in my thoughts, or do they just want an audience? For many self-centered individuals, conversations are not about mutual understanding, but an opportunity to feed their egos. They boast about their achievements, complain about their struggles, and seek validation. When you attempt to contribute, they either interrupt or show indifference, making it clear that their primary concern is themselves. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one. Those who are insincere often focus more on projecting an image of greatness rather than striving to embody it. Imagine having a colleague who, every time you meet, launches into a detailed account of their latest work projects, vacations, or personal achievements. Whenever you try to share something about your own life, they quickly steer the discussion back to themselves. This behavior is not just inconsiderate, but also signals a lack of genuine interest in building a meaningful relationship. Such individuals crave recognition and attention, seeking to dominate conversations rather than foster mutual connection. Rather than valuing your thoughts, they prioritize their own opinions, frequently cutting you off or speaking over you. Their impatience to hear their own voice creates tension and makes interactions exhausting. Conversations with them feel more like performances, where their main goal is to hold center stage rather than engage in a meaningful dialogue. A practical example of this behavior occurs when you confide in someone about work-related stress. Instead of listening and offering support, they immediately shift the conversation to their own struggles, downplaying your concerns. They compare their experiences to yours, turning what should have been a moment of understanding into yet another opportunity to talk about themselves. This realization can be disheartening. You recognize that this person is not genuinely invested in your well-being, but is more interested in amplifying their own narrative. Beyond just failing to listen, such individuals often invalidate your emotions. They lack the sensitivity to acknowledge your struggles and rarely provide thoughtful responses. If you share something meaningful or deeply personal, they may offer a shallow reaction or even diminish your experience. This isn't due to a lack of understanding, but rather a deliberate choice. They simply do not want to invest in the emotional weight of others. Think back to a time when you shared a personal challenge with someone, only for them to brush it off with, "You're overreacting," or "That's not a big deal." Worse still, they might completely ignore your words and move on to a topic that interests them more. This level of disregard can be painful because it makes you feel unseen and unheard. A true friend or an empathetic person would take the time to acknowledge your feelings and offer support, even if they do not have all the answers. When dealing with individuals who are only interested in talking about themselves, do not waste your energy trying to change them. Instead of feeling frustrated or hurt, recognize their behavior for what it is, a sign of immaturity and self-absorption. Rather than engaging in a one-sided relationship, focus on surrounding yourself with people who value genuine connection and mutual respect. Applying Stoic principles can help in these situations. Remember that you have control over who you allow into your life. You are not obligated to endure someone's selfishness or entertain relationships that drain you emotionally. Distancing yourself from such people does not mean you dislike them. It means you prioritize your own peace of mind. Life is too short to spend it on individuals who do not reciprocate the kindness and attention you give. Instead, invest in relationships that bring positivity, growth, and meaningful connection. Sign number 4, they forget what you talk about. Have you ever poured your heart out to a friend, sharing a personal challenge or meaningful moment, only to realize that they don't remember a single word of it? Perhaps you excitedly talked about an important milestone or a big change in your life, but to them, it seemed as if your words disappeared into thin air. This type of forgetfulness goes beyond mere forgetfulness. It can show that the person may not genuinely care about you or what you're going through. If you've ever had to retell a story or remind someone about something significant you've shared, you know the feeling of disappointment that follows. For someone who truly listens, remembering what you say isn't an obligation. It's a reflection of their genuine care for you. I once shared with a close friend how excited I was to begin a course I had been looking forward to for months. It wasn't just any course. It was something I had invested a lot of time and effort into, as it was going to open new doors in my life. We were sitting over coffee, and I spoke with great enthusiasm about what I hoped to learn, the goals I had, and how it felt like a new chapter had begun. But the next time we met, the subject never came up. Even when I casually mentioned it, he looked at me as if I had never said anything at all. It struck me in that moment that perhaps I wasn't as important to him as I had believed. If he truly cared, he would have asked how the course was going or what I had learned. But instead, there was only silence. That forgetfulness made me realize something important. When people care, they remember, not out of duty, but because they are genuinely invested in your life. This experience made me reflect on how I value the people in my life. I thought of another friend who makes it a point to ask about the smallest things I've shared. Whether it's a new restaurant I wanted to try or a weekend trip I've planned, she listens and remembers. Those seemingly insignificant details matter because they show that she is fully present in our conversations and cares enough to hold on to those moments. Her memory is a gift that makes me feel seen and valued. In the philosophy of Stoicism, relationships are rooted in authenticity and deep listening. I began to ask myself whether it was worth continuing relationships with people who don't seem to listen. Can I hold on to friendships that lack genuine connection? As time passed, I realized that I no longer wanted to invest in relationships where my feelings and stories were dismissed. There's a sense of peace that comes with recognizing when to let go of those who don't truly value you and making space for those who do. Over time, I've come to deeply appreciate the friends who remember the little things and genuinely care. These relationships, though few, are rich and fulfilling. They are the ones who ask, "How was your trip?" and truly want to know the answer. These are the friends who stand by me through both the highs and the lows. They not only listen, but they remain part of my life, offering support and encouragement through both joy and hardship. In a way, this has taught me a valuable lesson. Life becomes so much more meaningful when we are surrounded by people who truly care about us, those who not only hear our words but understand our hearts. A real-life example of this is the story of the late Steve Jobs, the visionary behind Apple. Steve Jobs often shared his personal struggles and dreams with those closest to him, and he was known for valuing the opinions and insights of those who genuinely listened and remembered. When his close friends or colleagues shared something important with him, he made it a point to bring it up later, showing that he truly listened and cared. His deep connection with a select few people played a significant role in his success as he relied on their input and valued their support, not just for business, but for personal growth. This kind of authenticity in relationships not only fuels success, but fosters a meaningful and supportive network. The ability to remember and truly listen is a powerful testament to the depth of a relationship. It's not about remembering every detail, but showing that you genuinely care enough to be present in someone's life. As we navigate through life, we come to realize that the most fulfilling relationships are those built on mutual respect, empathy, and a genuine connection. Surround yourself with people who listen, who remember, and who make you feel valued, because these are the relationships that truly enrich your life. Sign number 5, they always want something from you. When you encounter someone who consistently forgets the details of a conversation, it often reflects a deeper sense of indifference and a lack of real engagement. These are relationships that lack true connection and sincerity. But sometimes this indifference is just the surface. Some people come into your life not only with a shallow interest, but with clear self-serving motives. If someone only reaches out to you when they need something, it's a red flag. These individuals appear to care, but a closer look reveals that their actions are driven more by their own interests than any genuine concern for you. They may ask about your life, engage in meaningful conversations, or offer support during difficult times, but their actions are often rooted in the desire to benefit from you. They may continuously ask personal questions, seeking details not to bond, but to uncover weaknesses or assets they can exploit. For instance, a friend may regularly ask about your job, financial situation, or your upcoming plans. But when you're in need or struggling, they don't offer the support you expect. They aren't asking out of real care, but because they are trying to gauge what you can do for them. When people frequently ask you how work is going or about investments you've made, it's important to question whether these inquiries come from a place of concern or self-interest. They're gathering information, not to share in your life, but to manipulate or use it to their advantage. In a world where many are more inclined to take than to give, such one-sided relationships are not uncommon. These individuals will stop at nothing to gain what they want from you. They may pretend to be friends or show interest in your vulnerabilities to maintain a connection that ultimately only benefits them. It's essential to reassess where you're investing your time and energy. If you're always the one giving without receiving anything of value in return, this is a clear indication that the relationship is not balanced. Some people are happy to drain your resources, energy, and even your kindness without ever considering the cost to you. Stoicism encourages us to be mindful of the people we allow in our lives, urging us to distinguish between those who take more than they give and those who strive to create balance. Imagine a friend who consistently seeks your help, whether it's for advice, solving personal issues, or even borrowing money. But when the tables are turned and you need support, they're suddenly unavailable. You begin to realize that your friendship is only valuable to them when it serves their purpose. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius reminds us to be mindful of others' motives, and practicing Stoicism helps us to remain calm and rational in these situations. Understanding when a relationship is no longer healthy is crucial. The people who only want something from you will never contribute to your personal growth. Instead, they will drain you of your energy and focus, leaving you with nothing but resentment and frustration. A key lesson I've learned is that true relationships should be mutual, where both parties give and receive in balance. When we start to notice that certain people in our lives are taking more than they are giving, it's a sign to reassess those relationships. Friendship, like any other relationship, should be a source of support, care, and reciprocity, not a one-sided transaction. Recognizing this will not only protect your well-being, but also allow you to focus on nurturing relationships that bring value to your life. Sign number 6, they talk behind your back. One of the most challenging experiences in life is discovering that someone you trust or respect has been speaking negatively about you behind your back. For those who embrace Stoicism, recognizing and addressing this betrayal requires both clarity and emotional resilience, a calmness that prevents such actions from disrupting your inner peace. While the full details may not always be clear, the tension you feel when around them is often a telltale sign. It's as if there's an invisible, heightened sensitivity between you. You might not know exactly what was said or to whom, but you can sense it in their behavior. They may act strangely, offer forced smiles, or subtly brush off your words, creating a sense of discomfort in your interactions. For instance, imagine a once close colleague whose behavior toward you begins to shift. They still offer polite smiles, but there's a lack of sincerity in their eyes, and their conversations revolve around themselves while disregarding yours. It's possible that, somewhere in the office, they've shared unkind remarks about you, and now that energy is reflected in their attitude. Often, news of such behavior reaches you indirectly, maybe through a mutual acquaintance or a colleague's offhand comment. While this revelation may sting, it also gives you an opportunity to reassess the relationship. People who gossip often undermine your achievements, subtly belittling your successes. When you mention a recent accomplishment, they might dismiss it with remarks like, "That's not really a big deal, is it?" These remarks aim to distract and diminish your self-esteem. In moments like these, Stoicism offers a helpful perspective. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "It is not he who gives abuse or blows who affronts, but the view we take of these things as insulting." By letting these comments affect you, you give others the power to manipulate your emotions. Instead, let these words pass without concern, maintaining your peace and focusing on what matters. Stoicism teaches us to remain composed and not react impulsively to slander. When faced with negativity, ask yourself, does this really affect who I am? With confidence in your own value, you'll realize that such remarks are nothing more than distractions from the larger picture of your life. Those who talk behind your back are often driven by envy or insecurity, and instead of succumbing to their negativity, focus on your personal growth and well-being. Stoicism doesn't encourage you to sever ties with those who gossip, but rather, it encourages you to maintain self-respect and not let others disrupt your inner peace. No matter what is said behind your back, remember, their words do not define your worth. By staying calm, steady, and focused on your values, you embody the true spirit of Stoicism, a spirit that seeks peace and rises above trivial matters. Moreover, when people talk behind your back, it reveals more about them than it does about you. It often stems from their inability to confront their own insecurities or frustrations. Recognizing this allows you to release any resentment and stay focused on building relationships with those who truly support you. By practicing Stoicism, you not only protect your peace, but also become better equipped to handle life's inevitable challenges with grace, ultimately fostering a more authentic and fulfilling existence. Sign number 7, they act differently with different people. Having explored the more obvious signs of deception, such as backstabbing, we now turn to one of the subtler yet equally telling indicators of insincerity, changing behavior depending on who they are with. Stoicism encourages us to live with honesty and consistency, aligned with our core values. Thus, those who constantly shift their attitudes to please different people are directly opposed to this spirit. Maintaining relationships with people who frequently alter their behavior based on circumstances can be challenging. Hiding their true nature almost becomes instinctive for them. They effortlessly adapt, adjusting their words, expressions, or attitudes to fit in with others. This behavior might manifest in small ways, such as praising you privately, yet ignoring you when someone more influential is around. They might flatter those they respect or fear, while subtly belittling you or others they deem inferior. A superficial person typically has little regard for anyone beyond themselves. They will readily show different sides to achieve what they want from each individual without considering the long-term consequences. If you sense someone constantly shifts their demeanor depending on who they're with, ask yourself, do they genuinely value you, or are they simply building a connection for personal gain? A person who tailors their attitude based on their audience lacks the courage to live authentically and disregards sincerity, often lacking solid inner principles. Imagine a colleague who is warm and friendly when it's just the two of you. However, when a supervisor or high-level manager enters the picture, they suddenly become overly confident and assertive, even undermining you to make themselves appear better. In such situations, you might feel disappointed and lose trust in them. However, rather than letting negative emotions take over, Stoicism advises us to maintain calm and seek a clear understanding of human nature. It is our response to the situation, not the situation itself, that ultimately shapes our experience. Have you ever noticed someone acting differently when influential people are around? They may seem indifferent to you in regular settings, but in the presence of someone famous or wealthy, they become instantly enthusiastic and friendly. This behavior signals insincerity, valuing others only for the benefits or prestige they can bring. These types often prefer mingling with powerful or affluent people, believing they stand to gain something from them, whether it's access to a network, expanded career opportunities, or simply elevating their social status. They are often found at events where they know powerful people will be present, trying to impress and gain attention, all while adapting their behavior to match the circumstances. This behavior contrasts with the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, who emphasized the importance of living truthfully and in harmony with one's nature. Imagine a real-life scenario. When you have a good job, stable income, and social standing, friends and partners seem readily available, eager to support and accompany you. But one day you lose that job or face a significant setback, and suddenly these same people are no longer by your side. They become busier, less attentive, and may even avoid you altogether. This is one of the clearest signs of a fake friend. A superficial person will quickly abandon you when you no longer hold the advantages you once had. This reflects the vanity and self-interest inherent in their character. When you lose your usefulness, they'll leave without hesitation, seeking new stepping stones on their journey upward. In the face of such relationships, consider asking yourself, if one day I lost all my power, status, or achievements, who would still stand by me? Think about your friends. Would they still stay if you had nothing left to offer, or would they drift away seeking new connections that could bring them more advantages? These are the questions I urge you to ponder as we close today's discussion. The true test of any relationship is not how it fares when you're successful, but how it endures when you have nothing to offer in return. When you recognize signs of insincerity in relationships, it's natural to feel a bit disappointed, perhaps even hurt. Yet Stoicism teaches us that life doesn't always bring us sweetness. Instead, it offers us the chance to see clearly and to grow. Realizing who isn't genuine doesn't mean you must become suspicious of everyone. Rather, it empowers you to be selective and nurture the relationships that genuinely deserve your kindness and love. Stoicism guides us to live without relying on external illusions or sadness, and instead to keep our spirits steady, calm, and unaffected by insincerity. Only by mastering our own emotions can we prevent insincere people from touching our core, a core rooted in strength and self-respect. If this video has been helpful to you, please leave a like and share it with those you care about so they too can guard themselves against insincerity. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to explore more profound insights from Stoicism, helping you live with greater strength and peace. If you're still here, it shows you've passed the small challenge from the start of the video. Leave a comment saying, "I've spotted a fake friend," so I can congratulate you on this remarkable realization. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos.